Good day everybody. So I decided to do a list project, a slightly complex one. This is the one which we did in the class. Let me just play and show to you, and then what I intend to add. I already have these two list boxes which I have shown to my students. I insert some data automatically which is for the month. So I have months listed here, and this list is connected to this list. So when I click on a certain month, I show how many days it has. I click on this and it has added all the 12 months over here. So I click on January, it shows to me another list, 31, and then February, March, April, how many days they have, how much ever days we have, it will keep on adding to it. So I click on December and you see September, all those things are being actually added. So it's showing which list did I click, which item did I click first, and then it keeps on adding to the other list how many days it has. So this was a simple implementation of list boxes and how they are connected to each other. So we created a months object over here, and that month object contains the name of the month and also how many days it has. Now we are going to into slightly more complex lists, basically, in which we take inputs from the customer to basically it's like a grocery store, very very crude or simple implementation of a grocery store, but everything is working, in which I have a customer. I take customer's name, his or her phone, and which area he's coming or she's coming from, and add to the customer. And you see this list is a customer list. It will add all the customers I keep on adding from here. However, there is another list. This is items. So what I want to record is which customer is buying which item, or he's selecting which item, and what's the expiry date of that item. So this I'm supposing or assuming this is a grocery item application he's or she's buying. So I click on add item, and they work independently, but we want to make programming done in such a way that they are actually interdependent. So the customer has certain items and the other customer has a different item. The other customer will have different items to be added to his or her shopping cart. So independently I wanted to just write here, for example, Murad is his phone number. So I just save my space to save the labels. I know what these are. This is name, this is phone number, and this is which area I'm coming from, just to record some very basic customer details. So that actually records the customer details, and then the item, what item he's buying, Apple, and the quantity, and this the expiry date, quantity or price, whatever you want to assume. So these things I'm adding, and I'm adding them separately. Let's do the programming done for these. So obviously I need to start from here. I've given these names already. So this is customer name, this is customer phone, this is customer area, this is item name, item price, and this is expiry date time. So when I click on this button, add customer, I need to be reading these three text boxes values, and this is supposed to, since it's a customer phone, I've declared a separate I need to declare class according to these. So let's create first of all classes before we can read these and create objects. So I right click, add, and I do class, and I need to create customer class first, customer.cs, and I also need item class. So another class called item.cs, and the basic thing is, let's start from item, and item is string item name, string item price, and then date time, item expiry date. Okay, so how do we instantiate it? Let's create a constructor, string item, this is corresponding to this item name, string price, string expiry. So let's create short names, and we just copy this. So I say this dot item name is equal to item, this dot item price is equal to price, and this dot item expiry date is equal to expiry. So whatever somebody instantiate from outside, we copy it and we keep it with us. So date time expiry, this is supposed to be date time expiry. And also we need to be able to control, I want to make them public, or you can create their getters and setters later on. Anyway, so what I want to do is I want to be able to control how to display them So when I say there's public override toString, toString sends just str, returns back an str. Let me just create that str now. Str is a variable actually. String str is equal to, I want to control how to display this. I say item name plus gap between them, and item price plus a gap between them, and plus item expiry. So that's a very simple implementation. How I want to display item wherever it is being displayed, on a text box or a label, on a list box, whatever. So it's a very simple item. It has three things. I create a constructor and I want to see how it is actually being displayed. And then let's come to the customer. Customer has also three things: customer name, customer phone number, and also customer area. But also customer has items, so we add items to the customer. So let's see how we can do that. So let's like customer has tickets because customer books tickets, one or more tickets. Similarly, customer buys items. So I'm gonna do this. String customer name, string, I'm gonna call it long or int. Long is a int with a longer value with a high capacities, because our integer must be maybe 8, 9, or maybe 10 in some cases, or 12 digits. Phone, we can also use customer phone, whichever sounds easier. And then string area, which area he's living into. I mean these very basic, these three things we are creating for the customer, and we'll be using these three attributes for creating or instantiating customer. String customer name, or just make it simple, customer name, long, phone, string, area. These three and these can have different variable names. These are just variable names. You can use them different or the same. If you do exactly the same, you have to use this dot when you're copying. So I'm gonna use this dot customer name is equal to name, and in this case this is not even necessary, because the customer name and name are different, so it's not confusing, so you don't use this. But since phone are the same, phone and phone are the same, you can use phone, this dot phone. Actually you should use phone to avoid confusion, and this dot area is equal to area. I mean this all depends upon what choice of words you use for naming the variables and the arguments of those variables. Once we create this, we also need one more thing. As I just said, customer has items, and he doesn't have just one item, he can have a list of items. So let's create a list, and it is, as I said, this is it is parameterized. If you remember in the class I explained, so I said the list will be of item, this item class. So this item, many items will be there in this customer. So I create a list of item and I just call it grocery items, or any variable you like. And what this customer can do, the customer can add new items to his basket or remove items from his basket. So let's create a corresponding method. I'll say public void add items to basket. Let's camel back this naming convention, remember. And also public void remove items from basket, maybe, some very simple implementation. What we should be doing is we will add item to the basket, remove item from the basket. One singular. So which one, whatever has been passed to me, I will add it to my this grocery item. And remember, when you instantiate this, since you now have a new grocery items list also, which is now not existent, it is not existing in the memory, you just created a reference. You need to actually instantiate this also. So I'll say whenever a new customer is created by name, phone, and area, I'll create an empty grocery item. I don't need to copy anything, because really there is nothing in that grocery item. So I will just create an empty grocery. You can say he just picked up a basket, and that basket has nothing inside. So I do grocery items is equal to new list of items. Okay, so I instantiate my list also, which is like my basket, and I add items to my basket. So I'll say whenever somebody is passing on to my object, sorry, not here, I'll start from here. Whenever somebody is passing to my object a new item, so I'll call it item, new item, just add it to my grocery items list. Grocery items dot add, and I'm going to add it, new item here. and whenever somebody wants to remove something, and what is that something, it will pass on to me as an argument, item to remove grocery items dot remove. I'm gonna pass on that reference over here, item to remove. So I remove that from here. So these are two very simple functions that a customer can do: add item and remove item. Okay, so now I need to make corresponding methods, corresponding code to add a customer and also add an item, and later we will connect them together. So let's go to add customer. I click on this button. I'll say, first of all, let's read the value string, customer name, name, let's use simple, customer name is equal to customer name text, something like that, customer name or name txt, I don't know, I don't remember. Yeah, customer name, let's see what this is. This is cust name txt, should come up in the suggestion, cust name txt dot text. Okay, and then I need long phone, because I created this customer has long phone, so I will store it in a variable which is also same type. Long phone is equal to long dot parse, and here I'm gonna in the bracket customer phone or phone cust phone txt dot text. So I read it and then I convert this to long, and then I also have area, which is string area is equal to customer area dot text. Okay, now I need to instantiate the object, so I'll create customer, new customer is equal to new customer, or just give it a better name, maybe some customer is equal to new customer, and it has this cust name, these variables, this phone and this area, and just finish this. Okay, so I instantiate that customer now, but I did not add it to the list, so I need to add this to customer list box. So let's do that. I say customer list dot items dot add, and I'm adding a some customer which I just created, some customer. So you can see now when I play this, let's start this. I have customer is Murad, his phone number is 0505, something like that, and the area is rack, and I add customer, and there you go, list project dot customer. Now the reason it is coming list project dot customer, you probably have guessed, I did not do the toString. So I need to go to my customer class and I need to do the toString, so I know how I want to properly display it. I want to properly display by displaying name, phone and area, that's all, not the list at the moment and this list. So I'll say public override toString is a function I want to override. I did that for items but not for the customer, so str, so just some str. I'll create that now, string str is equal to I want to display it by showing my customer name and a gap, and then phone, and then a gap, and then area. Okay, so let's save this and run this. I hope I have some battery now. Yeah, okay. Murad has this phone number, and he's from rack, add customer, and my customer gets added over there. However, I need to do the same thing for the items. Let's do this same code for the item. Instantiate an item and connect, add to the list. So I string item name is equal to item name txt dot text, and then let's say float item price is equal to item price. This is what? This is a field. Yeah, text box, item price dot text, and then date time expiry. I'm just showing this to how to handle date time is equal to expiry date. This is a date field, date time picker, yes, dot value, whatever has been chosen. So I have this float item price, obviously will complain because I did not parse it, float dot parse, and it should go into this bracket. So now I have these three values. Now I can instantiate item. Let's say item an item or some item is equal to new item. I create a new item, item name, item price, and exp, which I just read. What's the problem here? Cannot convert float to string. I thought this is float item. Yeah, the price is actually supposed to be float. I'm just changing it this class float. Okay, let's go back to the form. I instantiate item price item with its item name, item price, and I expired it. And let's now add to the list. Item list. Oh, what's the name of this list? Items list. Okay, let's do items list. Suggestions please. Items list, yeah, dot items dot add, you guessed it right, I'm gonna add some item here. So my item is here, and notice they are not connected to each other. I can add item, let's say apple, which is for 1 dirham and its expiry date is 29th. Add item, I add that item 1 dirham, and that's its expiry date. And customer can be somebody, this is phone number, and this is some area. Now we need to be able to connect these both of them together. So we need to now go and use the customers list, which is grocery items. So if you add for that customer, you add to the list of the customer. That's what you want to do. So let's go back here, and when you do this, when you read and when you add to this list, we have to make sure that it is also added to the list of the customer, the grocery items list of the customer. So let's go there and first of all find out that when this is clicked, add item, what customer is selected. There can be 10 customers here in this list. Which customer is selected? So when you add it over here in this list, we add it to the grocery list of that customer also. That's what we want to do. So let's find out which customer is selected. So we'd say customer selected, customer is equal to customer list dot selected item. And if you remember, we did that casting last time also, so we'll do this casting. It's actually selected item will give us an object, so I change that object to customer because I know it's a customer. Selected item, and I say add to this selected customers grocery list. How do I add? Like this, add items to basket. How do I remove? Like this, remove items from basket. So let's do that here. We got what's the selected customer, and then we'll say selected customer dot add item to basket. Which item do I need to add? This item which was just created, some item. So we add to its grocery list. So that's what we have just did. We add to its grocery list. However, when you change this, when you change this, like we did for the months, when you change it, the current month, you get what the current month is, whatever is selected, and you show in the next list, the selected list, the other list, which is the days of the month, the current months, to show which date it is. So similarly, we will do something very similar. Whenever this is changed, the selected customer, we will also change what is being shown in the list item, in the items list. So whenever this is selected, let's find out which one is selected. So we find out customer selected, customer is equal to customer list dot selected item, and once again we cast it or typecast it to customer. So we save it as a customer. So we have this. I know now which one is selected. So I'll say okay, now the items list, please clear it. Items list dot items dot clear the items list. There should be nothing shown over there because now we know which customer is selected, and show whatever this customer has. So we know what this customer has because we are maintaining a grocery list. So the other list, which is the items list dot items dot add, we can do this add is for one and add range is for adding many. So that customer may have many items. So I'll say add range, and here I'm gonna read whatever the customer has. So how do I read whatever the customer has in his grocery list? Selected customer dot selected customer dot what does it have? I mean, you need to do a getter and setter for this grocery items. Okay, so I'm just changing this to public, which is not a good practice anyway. You can do this with get grocery items getter easily, but let's try to access it without the get. Customer item some item dot selected customer add item to basket. Which items do I need? Whatever this selected customer has in his grocery list. Selected cust. Just a second, please. I'm just hoping I'm not going to the wrong side. Yeah. So now I'm not changing here. This is where I was changing. So let's go back here. So once this customer listed items dot add, what I really want to do is so this is a new customer. The change, you need to make sure where you are doing the code changes. Double click this, that's where I was doing the code changes. So selected customer dot grocery items. So that I got now. I got hold of all grocery items. Now if I just change this to an array, I know that if I just change this to array, it will add all those automatically. Otherwise I'm going to go through a loop if I don't do this. So let's say customer is Murad and his phone number is this, and he's from Iraq, and then there is another customer, he is let's say Usman, and he has some number and he's from Abu Dhabi, and I add this. So I have these two customers. So upon changing them, I need to show the list over here. So let's create an item. You need to select them and then add an item. So Murad has an apple. Apple's price is 1 dirham and its expiry is 29th. Add item. It comes here, and Murad has and also buys an apple orange, whose price is 2 dirhams, and he adds an item. Now let's click on Usman. It should show nothing because we just changed it. So Usman buys a cucumber, his price is 3 dirham and its expiry is maybe 6th or 7th July. Add item. And Usman also buys some meat, for example, and its price is 5 dirhams and its expiry date is 5th, and add item. When I click on, so I know I've clicked on Usman, he has these two, cucumber and meat. Murad has apple and orange. You see that? So what does that? The change. So if you double click on the change event, it will clear the list and will show all the items that customer has in his list or in her list. So how do we add items to the customer's list? So when you click on the add item, it will read all the values, it will instantiate an item, it will add and show to the list. But what it will also do, it will find out whichever customer you have selected in the other list, and it will add to its item the basket, its basket, the item. But notice this, if you don't select anything here on the left side, you will have an error, and that's what the exception you have to catch. And this is his phone number. Let's do another round. And he's from Iraq, and there's another guy called Usman and he's from Dubai. Add customer, and then I need to I'm adding an item. So let's say I add an item. You'll see a problem that will come up now just out of nowhere, and that is exception handling. Because I have not selected anything here, my code will go and attempt, when I click add item, to add thing here, and then also add that item in Murad's grocery list. So if I do that now, actually it should do that, but since I have not selected anything, the code will find out which part is selected here, so that I can add this item to that customer's list. So because I have not selected anything, there's an error. You'll see that. You see that? So what you need to do is you need to select the customer first and then add items first, or you do the exception handling. Now let's lastly do the remove. So I need to be removing the items from this list box. I'll say whatever the selected item, item selected item is equal to items list dot selected item, and you typecast it back to the original type of it. It was an item, and then you say items list dot remove dot items dot remove select remove in the bracket selected item. This selected item is this variable, so you remove that, and also remove it from the customer which has been clicked. So I'll find out customer selected customer is equal to customer list dot selected item, and obviously change back its type to customer because it will give you a generic object. So I want this customer dot remove item from basket. Which item I want to remove? This item, selected item. So I'll do that here and call it selected item to remove it from the basket. Okay, so let's see this last round. Hopefully Murad, this is phone number, he's from Brack, add it, and then there is another guy Usman, he's from DXB, which is abbreviation of Dubai, and Mr. Murad has an apple, which is for 2 dirhams and is expiring next week sometime. Add item, and also has orange, and orange is 3 dirham, I don't know. Now Usman has nothing, Murad has apple and orange, so I'm gonna click on apple and I'm gonna click on remove. So Murad only has orange. So does it really exist if I change? Really, does it change in the Murad's grocery item list also? Click on Usman, one has nothing, and Murad should have only one item, which is orange. Okay, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Hopefully this should help you in your project. Thanks very much, and thanks for watching.